Yo, what up? It's your boy Zai. You already know what time it is. Today, I'm just gonna go in here and do something a lot different. You know what I mean? It's like when it comes down to it, a lot of people, like I said, came to my channel for controversy. And I'm gonna continue to give you that controversy. Sometime I can give you positive, sometime it just won't be positive because not everything in life is positive. If you've been paying attention to all this COVID that's been going on, then not everything in life is positive. So and most of the people that do ask for that are the ones that's just, I won't even say most of the people. Some of the cats that ask for, oh, and they want to make a big issue out of certain things are mostly the cats that are negative. They've been trolling, just forget that I remember their names and little images that they put up. So that's besides that. Today you already can tell exactly what I'm gonna talk about. If simply for the title of it, this is a interview that I seen by Method Man, and it was just one of those that caught me off guard because, with Method Man being intelligent and doing movies and things of that nature, like I can see why slightly his thought pattern might shift. But also when you watch the whole Wu-Tang thing, you know what I mean, and you see that this dude, he proclaims to be from the street, which I have no doubt that he is. But I guess like as you get older, certain things change, and then you start making mistakes, especially when it comes to your verbiage. On this interview, I'm not gonna show it if simply for the fact that I don't want to get copywritten, but it is on Math Hoffa TV or whatever. And it's funny because I came across this interview and decided to watch it because I'm a fan of Method Man and the Wu Tang. You know what I mean? Out of really out of that side, and he wasn't I don't think was official member of the Wu Tang, was Redman, and he was my favorite off the back. Then you had the Riz, you had the Jizza, and you had Method Man always stacking with his bars, and he just had like a certain swag to himself. But I'm guessing that since that swag is no longer popular in today's culture, that he seems to fall into that category of being old heads that are jaded by the simple fact that their style of rap is no longer viable. And don't get me wrong, it's like I love Method Man stuff, you know what I mean? And I'm always gonna be a Wu-Tang fan, you know what I mean? I'm always gonna be into bars and people just actually putting shit together and not just like, mumbling. But at this present time, mumble rap and it's just a thing that's popping, and not even mumble rap anymore. It's shifted to something entirely different that now, cats feel like they need to talk about. And like I said, this ain't really nothing towards Method Man. I just don't get his train of thought because on this video, if you watch it, like I said, it's on Hoffa, it's on Math Hoffa TV. You can go ahead and check out the whole thing and tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. But all through the interview, this dude is, he sees people like the Migos and NBA Young Boys and cats that really out here popping. You know what I mean? He sees that and he sees his cats, flossing money, and he's like, man, these cats, where they getting all their money from? And like it's it can be considered a harmless question, but the way he just kept digging and going deeper into the fact of he was you could tell just by the way he was talking that he was upset at the fact that these dudes out there getting money. And he says things along the line like, these guys are, just to take a private flight on these planes is like 30,000. I'm not sure exactly where that number is, seeing that I don't take private flights. I haven't even jumped on a plane, so I can't really verify them numbers. But throughout the whole interview, this whole thing was asking, where they get this money, because when he was doing it at his peak, he wasn't getting that type of money. But what these cats fail to realize is this is a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? And people are willing to shell out a lot of money in order to get these guys to perform because of the type of crowds that they bring. Like you'll get like, and I get it, like with some of these old heads, I'm an old head myself, but some of these old heads forget the fact that as the years go on, different trends change, and the possibility of making greater money is a back in Method Man's days, a lot of fools used to get end up with no money in their pocket because the labels that they were signing to was juking them left and right. They were digging in their pocket and giving them a little bit of. I've seen people have penny deals, you know what I mean, where you get a penny on the dollar. You were lucky if you got 25 cents. You were lucky if you got a dime. So it's understandable, but that in his train of thoughts, that he would consider that still something that, is going on. But there's shows being, he was like, yeah, like I said, if you check out the interview, he's mentioned, oh, well, COVID and how you getting money when it was when it was an epidemic. But what the dude failed to realize, excuse me, is the fact that even though COVID was on its, people were still out, people were still moving around. You just had to be more secretive about it, which meant that you had to pay a lot more money in order to be able to go view these shows. The economy didn't shut, the economy may have shut down, but as far as like the underground, it was still popping. Because, and not even underground as far as music, but just the underground period, people willing to do things because they really didn't believe in COVID anyways. There's a lot of people that I know that was like F COVID, because COVID was nothing. And being somebody that have seen and been a recipient of certain things, that it was real. But you know all I'm saying on this whole thing, like, people, probably come on here and be like, oh, why you talking about Method Man? Because that's just not how old heads should get down. I see a lot of cats always like to throw blame on the younger generation, and the younger generation is doing that. They're making it okay to snitch. And then they in turn around and say, well, a lot of cats in our days were snitches. And then, you try to create a rebuttal to that, but then you see cats like this. And this is not saying that he's snitching, but it's just like, if you listen to the interview, he damn near sound like a fed. Like, who cares exactly where they get their money from or how they make their money? The plain and simple fact is that they're making money, and that's all. They could be in the hood killing each other, but they're out there making money. And some people are making money off the fact that negativity sells, but they're still making money. And it's just what it is. You know what I mean? It could be like dudes making no money on the street blapping. But see, this is the train of thought of individuals that go in Hollywood. Like, you get so high up there that, when you're no longer at that point. Because when Method Man was at his peak, he had no issues. He was getting it the way he got it, and people were on him. But then now that these cats are no longer really relevant in the industry, outside of those that are hardcore fans, they get jaded, and the first thing they want to do is point fingers and get too inquisitive. It's too inquisitive for an individual that's supposed to be on the street to go on a live podcast and get the asking questions along the line of, how do these individuals get their money? You had one cat talk about trafficking, which that's just straight out some bull. Because even if they were trading, it's none of your business, and you're nobody really put that out there on the internet, especially those who want to function with the people that are supposed to be street. But like I said, this whole video is just to put him on blast, and hopefully, even if he don't see this, somebody might, because people tend to see my videos all over the place, might look at it and be like, hey, maybe this dude do look at it. Like, I'm not worried about what he says. I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those, he might look at it and be like, you know what, I was out of line for doing that. Leave the street to the street. Don't worry about another individual on how he get his money. He could be selling dope. Who cares? And like, he want to do the feds job. You know what I mean? When it comes to social media, the feds be on it, because they know 9 out of 10 these cats flashing their guns and talking about who they killed, and they get detailed because people are looking for clout. It's easy to convict fools nowadays, but then you got cats like this that you've been in Hollywood, you've been up upwards in the upper echelon, as far as like you done rubbed elbows with cats that's been around for a long time and that are known in the industry to have been around for a while. And here you are, you get that mindset and think that you're no longer a part of the same group that you came from, which in a sense you're not. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be looked at in a certain way, because it's just like that. And T.I. is a prime example of those who think they get too high, you know what I mean? And that you're always going to get reminded of exactly where your place is in a pecking order, and it ain't very high. So with that being said, man, hopefully Method Man will refrain from asking any stupid questions of this nature in the future, because if he does, you got cats like me and a lot of other people that can get right on his head, because it shouldn't be tolerated. And this is why a lot of young cats just don't, you got cats that just want to do what they want to do, that are young and just don't want to hear nothing. So I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about those who really looking for guidance, you know what I mean? And just either you street or you not. And then you got, you can be a positive role model, but at the same time, you cannot appeal to a street individual if you're not street yourself, regardless of if you were street or not. You don't ask questions like this on live TV, you know what I mean, or on podcasts. Like it just if go watch the interview. And it's saying I'm not affiliated with this channel, but go watch the interview and watch how jaded he sounds at the fact that these youngsters are getting the type of money that they're getting, and he no longer, he's like, I don't even have a car, you know, my wife has a car. That's just, you know, manage your books, you know what I mean. You had Black Rob, same thing. Look at, would have managed his money right here to have been good, but that's what happens. Get too much money, forget that you gotta flip it. Be like Lil Yachty, like he said, you know what I mean. You gotta have multiple source of income. Anyway, on that note, your boy Zod, and I'm done.